all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in our newsrooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
Want to just get out of town with your friends and family? Are you having a corporate getaway and have no adequate transport? Then this here is what you need to listen to. A brand new 35-seater Yutong luxury bus is now up for hire at an affordable and negotiable rate. It comes fully equipped with aircon, TV for your relaxation, music soothing your trip, and DVD players to give you variety. Book now by calling 0955-0966 or 977-844-141.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Air Jungle.
Glad that you could find time to be with us on Prime TV's menus. For the start, we look at the headlines. Government's unclear constitution roadmap worries a grand coalition. FDD questions President Edgar Lungu's intentions for an early holiday. Church and politics cannot be separated, charges a clergyman. And in foreign news, Chad forces launch fierce assault on Boko Haram. These and other interesting stories coming up. My name is Daniel Tonga. The Grand Coalition calling for the release of the Constitution has questioned government over the unclear proposed Constitution roadmap validation process. Grand Coalition Chairperson Father Leonard Chiti says the coalition is disappointed that government wants to get up a referendum committee before reviewing the Referendum Act. Father Chiti was speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka. He adds that the coalition has since warned government that it will not accept any partial amendments to the Constitution but will engage relevant stakeholders to the process before it is hashed in the National Assembly.
It's clear that the new PF administration is pursuing a path of partial amendment to the Constitution. Already the President is appointing parliamentarians from the opposition in his effort to garner enough support for this evil scheme. Government should engage seriously on its commitment to the referendum with strong advocacy messages and community mobilization. There is need to review the Referendum Act before appointing the Referendum Commission. Therefore, we want to warn government that the Grand Coalition will not accept any partial amendment to the Constitution and will engage all relevant stakeholders, especially parliamentarians, to stop this process before it is hatched in the National Assembly.
President Edgar Lungu has directed Health Minister Joseph Kasonde to investigate the reported shortage of drugs in certain health institutions. Mr. Lungu says he expects the Health Minister to get to the bottom of the matter and find out why there are shortages of drugs in certain health institutions. The President adds that it is disheartening to hear that there are shortages of drugs when people should be provided with the best health care services. And President Lungu has urged military personnel to conduct themselves professionally in the discharge of their duties under his watch. President Lungu said this at State House during a swearing-in ceremony of Margaret Mwanakatwe as Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister, former Lusaka Mayor Mulengasata as State House Deputy Minister, and Dr. Joseph Katema as Chiefs and Traditional Affairs Minister. Others sworn in include Boniface Chimbwali as Luapula Province Permanent Secretary and Kakoma Kanganja as Deputy Inspector General of Police and Major General David Mumana as Zambia Air Force Deputy Commander. Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, has questioned President Edgar Lungu on his intentions to go on holiday. FDD spokesperson Antonio Mwanza says the president has only been in office for 2 weeks and there is no need to take a rest but serve the Zambian people. He says the president is entitled to rest, but after working for the Zambian people and not now when he has a lot of work to do. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Mwanza says there is nowhere in the history of Zambia that a president can go on holiday before appointing a full cabinet. He has advised President Edgar Lungu to put the interest of Zambians first because they are the ones who voted for him. PF Secretary General Davis Chama had indicated that Mr. Lungu would go for a holiday after returning from an AU summit.
The president cannot go on holiday before he puts his house in order. What we expect the president to do first of all is that let him constitute his cabinet, and then after that he can consider going on holiday. But one of the things that we need to look at critically is really a holiday entails that you have had a lot of work to do, you've performed your duties, you have exhausted yourself and you want to go and rest. And I think the president has been in office for less than 2 weeks. And for him to think about going for a holiday within 2 weeks of being in office is really wrong timing. The people surrounding the president have to advise him that this is a wrong time for him to go on holiday. He is entitled to a holiday, but surely it's about the issue of timing.
Redeemed Methodist Church pastor Paul Wupe has charged that there is nothing wrong with pastors engaging in active politics. Reverend Wupe says the church and politics are inseparable, therefore men of God can still participate in politics. He adds that men of God can engage in politics through preaching to people on how and who can be voted for during elections. Reverend Wupe says politics deal with governance issues and wondered why people oppose men of God participating in politics. He was speaking in an interview with Prime TV in Lusaka. Reverend Wupe says the church has a big role to play in ensuring that Zambia is governed well.
I have always longed to write about church and politics because I've seen the discrepancy or lack of clarity in the way we handle the issue of church and politics. Most of the times we find that politicians call on preachers or the church not to engage in politics. But politics is about life. And as Africans, religion and politics cannot be separated. The question is, how do you separate them? Basically, according to the book that I've written, Church and Politics, a preacher cannot stand on the pulpit and tell people to follow him in a particular political party. He can teach about politics so that people can make enlightened decisions on what policies, on what political party they can join on their own.
A financial analyst has observed that the drop in the inflation rate will not affect the commodities on the market unless if the buying and selling of foreign exchange increases. Financial Officer Crispin Kabole says there is stability with the prices on the market and at no point will the lives of people get affected. He says people's income will only be affected if the prices of the rate in currencies go up. Mr. Kabole said this in an interview with Prime TV in Lusaka.
There's stability because normally when the exchange rate goes up or down, it doesn't affect all we need as bureaus. We have to make a little out of it because basically you cannot make a 50-70% profit margin because it affects the people, more especially when the prices changes. And normally when the price changes, it's as a result of buying and selling of foreign exchange because when the rate goes up, then you spend more kwacha. So basically, and that's how the costs trickle down to the people, and that's where you have a situation of price increases. And basically, people get affected when this price increases because it affects your income.
Now, former and Zambia's first president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, has been admitted to Lusaka Trust Hospital. According to information gathered by Prime TV News, the 91-year-old man had suffered fatigue. Meanwhile, President Edgar Lungu had taken some time to offer a healing prayer to Dr. Kenneth Kaunda at the hospital. We now take our first break. Stay with us if you can for other interesting stories coming up.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
What's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Welcome back, and now other stories. National Restoration Party NAREP leader Elas Chipimo has commended President Edgar Lungu for elevating women to influential positions in the governance structures. Mr. Chipimo says NAREP welcomes the appointment of Inonge Wina as the first female vice president, Justice Irene Mambilima as chief justice, and Margaret Mwanakatwe as commerce minister. He says the appointment of Justice Mambilima is welcome as she is a woman of great professionalism and high integrity. Mr. Chipimo has urged President Lungu to continue with the spirit and use his power and influence to build a strong and solid foundation for future generations. And Mr. Chipimo has called on President Lungu to start the continuous voter registration exercise now. Meanwhile, Non-Governmental Organization Coordinating Council, NGOCC, has commended President Edgar Lungu for appointing women in high government positions. NGOCC Chairperson Sarah Longwe says appointing women in higher government positions will help curb gender discrimination against women. Ms. Longwe told Prime TV that the move by President Lungu will strike a 50% balance between men and women, considering the fact that the previous governments did not appoint many women in decision-making positions. She has further noted that despite previous governments having positions of which should have been given to women, many of the positions were given to men.
This being a new government is doing the right thing, considering that the previous government head of state, he didn't nominate any women, although he had 8 positions from which he could have nominated at least 4 being women, but all 8 were men. Now that we have 1 woman, at least we are making some headway, and it is just the right thing to do, because Zambia is missing out, is losing out a lot of potential, because there are 50% of women as citizens of this country, and they are not being given the chance to show their potential.
Pambashe Member of Parliament Ronald Chitotela has called on all Zambians to be devoted in prayers and embrace one another as one people. Mr. Chitotela says people should start to think and behave in a way that will accommodate others without any form of discrimination. He notes that the issues of tribal talk that arose prior to and after elections should never have been overblown had people learned to perceive one another with love. Mr. Chitotela says in moving forward, people should get rid of discriminatory sentiments to ensure prosperity emanating from One Zambia, One Nation motto.
That we need to devote ourselves in prayers so that God can speak to us. We can begin thinking and doing things as a people of one nation. And we must remove our tribe. Our tribe, all of us must be Zambian. We must all be Zambian. We must all be identified by a tribe called Zambia. If we want to propagate individual tribes, nobody will achieve anything. I want to assure you, people that promote tribalism are the greatest losers. That's why, in my case, I'm not married to a person of my province. I'm married to another province. So if somebody begins in promoting tribalism, what is the tribe of my children? So that in Zambia today must not come out. We must be able to speak to our brothers and sisters across Zambia, across spheres, across society, across cultural beliefs and norms to say we are a one people.
We are now taking our second break. Join us for some foreign news after this.
Apple Max.
take it to the max.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Welcome back now in foreign news. Chadian aircraft have struck Boko Haram positions in the Nigerian border town of Gamboru for a second straight day, witnesses in a neighboring town said. 2 military helicopters pounded targets in Gamboru for about 2 hours, setting off loud explosions and sending thick clouds of smoke into the sky. The town in northeastern Nigeria on the border with Cameroon was already strafed by 2 Chadian fighter jets on Saturday when the airstrike began. Rebel group Boko Haram overran Gamboru several months ago as part of its campaign to seize territory in the region and create an Islamic state. 3 Chadian soldiers and 123 Boko Haram fighters were killed in 2 days of clashes in northern Cameroon earlier this week, according to Chad's military. And finally, in our news, Mohamed Fahmy, one of the 2 Al Jazeera journalists still held in Egypt, has renounced his Egyptian citizenship to secure his release, his family says. Mr. Fahmy's brother said the journalist, who is also Canadian, was told to give up his nationality or his freedom. Canada says his release is imminent. The status of his Egyptian colleague Bama Muhammad remains unclear. Peter Gresti, who was freed on Sunday, said he felt increasingly angered at leaving his colleagues in a Cairo jail. The Australian journalist was freed from prison and deported after 400 days behind bars. For these and other stories, we monitored Al Jazeera.
The Iraqi government and a leading Shia militia are claiming victory over ISIL in the Iraqi province of Diyala. The fight's been led by one of Iraq's major Shia militias, the Badr Corps. The group says it's now ready to move into ISIL's other strongholds, including Mosul. Al Jazeera's Jane Arra spoke to the group's leader, Hadi al-Ameri.
There is no other area more complicated than these areas from Amirli and Jurf al-Sakhar, Saadiyya and Jalaula, and Dulu'iyya, and around Balad and Muqtadiyya. These 5 areas are considered the most complicated areas in Iraq. We have nothing else, the rest are just desert landscapes, and in the desert they cannot fight. That is why I'm optimistic, and by the help of God we will defeat ISIL.
The UN's highest court says neither Serbia nor Croatia committed genocide during the Balkan Wars. The International Court of Justice heard claims made by both countries alleging ethnic cleansing during the 1990s conflict. Al Jazeera's journalist Peter Gresta says he'll be heading back to Australia later on Tuesday with his brother. Speaking 2 days after his release from an Egyptian prison, he said he had mixed feelings over his newfound freedom. Peter, who was behind bars for 400 days, says he feels incredible angst at leaving 2 colleagues behind. He says he'll continue to fight for the release of Baha Mohammed and Mohamed Fahmy, who are still in jail. Well, meanwhile, Mohamed Fahmy has renounced his Egyptian citizenship. He has both Egyptian and Canadian citizenship. Under these rules now, the new presidential decree, foreign nationals who are convicted of crimes in Egypt can be deported. Canada's Foreign Minister John Baird has been speaking about it all and said that Mohammed's release could be imminent. He says diplomatic efforts were going very well, but he didn't give us an exact time as to when to expect his freedom. And there's no official word from the Egyptian government. The Nigerian army says it's retaken 5 towns that had been held by the armed group Boko Haram. The operation was a joint offensive with local vigilantes working with troops from Chad and Cameroon.
And as we end, we look at what made headlines. Government's unclear constitution roadmap worries a grand coalition. FDD questions President Edgar Lungu's intentions for an early holiday. Church and politics cannot be separated, charges a clergyman. And in foreign news, Chad forces launch fierce assault on Boko Haram. And that's just about what we had on our news. On behalf of the news department and the production crew, this has been Daniel Tonga. Bye-bye for now.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.